Frank Miller rushed into the Galactic Council chambers, his face red and his diplomatic uniform wrinkled. The 17 alien representatives went quiet as he entered. Behind Frank walked his aide, Samantha Brooks. Her hand shook as she carried a data tablet. "The Sol Federation has authorized military action," Frank announced loudly. His voice echoed in the large chamber. "Earth is going to war." The room exploded with noise. Aliens chittered, buzzed, and shouted through their translators. The Herlaxian representative's skin changed from its normal color to deep purple, showing alarm. The Volnari delegation's antennae flattened against their heads in fear. High Counselor Dreth of the Ardani stood up on his four legs. "Against whom, Ambassador? Which species has earned humanity's anger?" Frank took a deep breath. "Not against any council race." He looked around the room at all the alien representatives. "We're declaring war against the Scourge." Whispers spread through the chamber. The Scourge was feared by all spacefaring races. This silicon-based life form had destroyed countless worlds over centuries. "This is madness," shouted the representative from Beller Prime, their eye stalks waving in agitation. "No civilization has survived direct conflict with the Scourge." Frank stood tall. "Humanity has studied the enemy for years. We believe they can be defeated." Counselor Dreth moved closer to Frank. "Ambassador Miller, please reconsider. We have protocols for Scourge incursions. Evacuation and containment have saved billions of lives. And how many billions have been lost?" Frank countered. "How many worlds stripped bare? The containment policy is failing. At their current rate of expansion, the Scourge will reach Earth within 30 years. The Malari representative, a small being with crystalline features, spoke up. "But why fight? We can offer Earth's people sanctuary worlds in protected sectors." "And then what?" Frank asked. "Wait for the Scourge to consume those worlds too." "No, humanity refuses to run." Samantha stepped forward and handed Frank a data drive. He inserted it into the Council's central projector. A holographic map of the galaxy appeared, with red markers showing Scourge territory. "For 10,000 years, the Council has retreated from this threat," Frank said. "Each of your civilizations has lost colonies, research stations, and outposts. Some of you have lost homeworlds." He touched the projection, and it zoomed in on the Sol system. "Earth is preparing a first strike against the nearest Scourge fleet. Our scientists have developed new weapons specifically designed to target their biology." The Council erupted again, voices rising in disbelief and concern. "This is not a request for permission," Frank continued when the noise died down. "This is a courtesy notification. Earth goes to war in 24 hours. The Ardani High Counselor's skin paled. "You cannot hope to stand alone against the Scourge." "We hope we won't have to," Frank replied, looking around the chamber. "Humanity would welcome allies, but with or without help, we will fight." As Frank turned to leave, Samantha's tablet buzzed with an urgent message. She leaned close to him and whispered, "The fleet is in position. Admiral Johnson awaits final authorization." Frank nodded and faced the Council one last time. "For thousands of years, your civilizations have lived in fear of the Scourge. Today, humanity chooses a different path." He tapped his communication badge. "Admiral Johnson, this is Ambassador Miller. You have authorization to proceed with Operation Spearhead. Godspeed." The Council watched in stunned silence as Frank and Samantha left the chamber. For the first time in galactic history, a species had declared war on the unconquerable enemy. Olivia Grant watched the holographic feed from her office on Luna Base. She could see the shocked faces of the alien representatives as Ambassador Miller left the Council chamber. The large window behind her desk showed Earth glowing blue and green in the distance. "They think we're crazy," said Captain Ryan Peters. He stood beside her desk in his crisp military uniform. The silver stars on his collar caught the light. Olivia shook her head. "They don't understand humans yet. We don't give up easily." Ryan pointed to the tactical display on the wall. It showed hundreds of human ships gathering near Jupiter. Operation Spearhead is ready. Admiral Johnson has moved the 1st and 3rd Expeditionary Forces into jump position. What's our chance of success? Olivia asked, turning away from the council feed. Better than the aliens think, Ryan replied with a small smile. We've spent 5 years studying the Scourge attack patterns. They're not invincible, just never properly challenged. Olivia walked to the window and looked at the stars. The Council aliens have been running from the Scourge for centuries. They can't imagine fighting back. Her computer beeped with a new message. She touched the screen to open it. The President has addressed Earth. The public knows about the war now. How are people taking it? Ryan asked. Scared but determined. No panic in the major cities. She pulled up more data. Volunteer centers are full. Manufacturing plants are working at maximum capacity. Ryan checked his watch. First contact with the enemy happens in 6 hours. The Proxima Centauri outpost detected Scourge harvester ships approaching yesterday. Olivia nodded. And the Council still has no idea about our technological advancements. We've kept our new weapons secret for this moment. Her tablet lit up with a priority message. She read it quickly. The Ardani High Counselor has requested a private meeting. He's coming to Luna Base. Do you think they'll help us? Ryan asked. I doubt it. He probably wants to try one last time to talk us out of fighting. Olivia gathered her diplomatic files. But maybe seeing our preparations will change his mind. The door to her office opened, and her assistant stepped in. Dr. William Chen from Weapons Development is here with an update on the quantum disruptors. A tall man with glasses entered the room. He carried a tablet filled with complex diagrams. The final tests were successful, he reported. The disruptors can break down the silicon structure of Scourge ships. Their adaptive biology won't be able to respond quickly enough. How many ships have been equipped? Olivia asked. All vessels in the 1st and 3rd Expeditionary Forces, William answered. The 2nd force will be ready in 2 days. Ryan looked at the tactical display again. The Scourge has no idea what's coming. They've never faced a species that studied them so carefully. William nodded. Their biology is impressive but predictable. They've never needed to evolve beyond their current form because no one has truly challenged them. Olivia's computer chimed again. The Council observation ships have changed course. They're heading to Proxima Centauri to witness the battle. Let them watch, Ryan said firmly. After today, everything changes. Olivia looked once more at Earth hanging in space. For generations, humans had looked to the stars with wonder. Now they were facing the greatest threat in galactic history. High Counselor Dreth's ship will dock in 30 minutes, her assistant reported. Prepare the briefing room, Olivia replied. Show him everything. Our fleet, our weapons, our strategy. It's time the Council learned that humans don't accept defeat. As she gathered her materials, a final message appeared on her screen. It was from Admiral Johnson. Fleets in position. Engaging hyperdrive in 10 minutes. Today we make history. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had gone on for 3 days. Ambassador Frank Miller sat quietly as alien after alien took the podium to speak against humanity's war plans. In 2,000 cycles, no civilization has survived direct confrontation with the Scourge, said the Tellurian representative. His translucent tentacles moved wildly as he spoke. We offer Earth sanctuary worlds in the protected sectors. Save your people before it's too late. Other species added their voices. The Bezrani trade minister offered wealth and resources if humans would evacuate Earth. The Krell war chief spoke of his own species' defeat at the hands of the Scourge centuries ago. When his turn came, Frank walked slowly to the podium. The room fell silent. Humanity appreciates your concern and your offers of sanctuary, he began. But consider this. The Scourge has consumed 17 inhabited worlds in just the past 100 years. At their current rate of expansion, they will reach Earth in 27 years regardless of your containment strategy. He pressed a button on the podium. A large holographic map of the galaxy appeared above the council floor. Red dots showed scourged territory growing like a disease across the stars. "We aren't asking for your military support, though we would welcome it," Frank continued. "We're informing you of our decision as a courtesy." His voice became softer, "and perhaps to say goodbye if we fail." The Ardani High Counselor stepped forward. "Ambassador Miller, I have visited your Luna base. I have seen your weapons and your fleets. Impressive as they are, the Scourge cannot be defeated by conventional means." "Our weapons are not conventional," Frank replied. "Earth has been preparing for this moment since we first learned of the Scourge 50 years ago. Every resource, every scientific breakthrough has been directed toward this fight." The Volnari delegation chittered among themselves. Their leader spoke up. "What if you fail? The Scourge will surely target Earth with greater fury if provoked." "Then we will have tried," Frank said simply, "which is more than the Council has done in 1,000 years. A young Nizari representative with blue skin raised her hand. "If you succeed, even partially, what then?" "Then we keep fighting," Frank replied. "We push them back, system by system. We free the worlds they've invaded and help those species rebuild." The council chamber buzzed with low conversation. Some representatives looked thoughtful rather than dismissive for the first time. As Frank returned to his seat, Samantha Brooks approached with her tablet. She leaned close to him and whispered, "It's begun. Admiral Johnson has engaged the Scourge at the Proxima Centauri outpost." Frank nodded slightly. The battle they had planned for years was finally happening, light years away. Earth had crossed a line no species had dared cross before. The High Counselor called for a recess. As the chamber emptied, several alien representatives approached Frank privately. "My government wishes to know more about your quantum disruptor technology," said a Bezrani official quietly. A Krell warrior touched Frank's shoulder. "If you succeed at Proxima, the Krell warband may reconsider its position." One by one, aliens who had publicly opposed humanity's war now showed cautious interest. Fear of the Scourge had ruled them for generations. The idea of fighting back seemed impossible, yet humans were doing it. Samantha's tablet beeped with a new message. She showed it to Frank. The first images from the battle were coming in. "The council session resumes in 30 minutes, she said. "Should we share the battle footage?" Frank considered this. "No. Let's wait for confirmed results. If we've won, the images will be more powerful. If we've lost..." He left the sentence unfinished. As they waited, more messages arrived from Proxima Centauri. Frank read each one carefully, his expression revealing nothing to the aliens watching him from across the room. Commander Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of the UES Intrepid, watching the main view screen as human ships came out of hyperspace near Proxima Centauri. The massive Scourge harvester ships were already attacking the research station. They looked like giant spiders made of rock and metal, tearing at the station's outer hull. "All ships in position, Commander," said Lieutenant Daniel Wilson from his control station. "Quantum disruptors are charged and targeting systems are locked." Lisa took a deep breath. Humanity's first battle against the Scourge would either make history or end in disaster. She touched her communication panel. "This is Commander Martinez to all ships. Remember your training. The Scourge will try to adapt to our weapons, so hit them hard and fast. Don't give them time to evolve new defenses." She turned to Daniel. "Coordinate with the Daedalus and Hyperion. Execute Protocol Sunburst on my mark." Across the human fleet, the new weapons powered up. These quantum disruptors had been developed using technology found in ancient ruins on Mars. Earth scientists had spent years perfecting them specifically to attack the Scourge's unique biology. "All ships report ready," Commander Daniel said. Lisa nodded. "Fire." Beams of strange blue-white energy shot from the human ships. Where they touched the Scourge vessels, something incredible happened. The silicon-based structures began to break apart, returning to basic dust and rock. The Scourge ships tried to move away, but the human fleet had surrounded them. 3 of the spider-like harvesters crumbled completely. 2 others attempted to adapt, growing thicker outer shells. "They're changing already," Lisa said. Implement Phase 2. The human ships adjusted their weapons. Now the beams pulsed at different frequencies, bypassing the new defenses. More Scourge ships fell apart into drifting debris. One of the largest harvesters turned toward the Intrepid. It fired a beam of green energy that hit the ship's shields. Shields at 70%, reported Officer Amy Rodriguez. The Scourge weapon is stronger than we expected. Evasive pattern Delta. Lisa ordered. Focus all disruptors on that harvester's central mass. The Intrepid turned sharply, while 3 other human ships joined the attack. Their combined disruptor beams cut through the harvester's defenses. The giant ship shuddered, then broke apart like sand washing away in water. The Hyperion reports minor damage, Daniel said. 2 crew injured. The Wellington has lost shields but is still fighting. Lisa checked the tactical display. Of 12 Scourge harvesters, 9 had been destroyed. The remaining 3 were attempting to retreat. Don't let them escape, she ordered. If even one gets away, it will carry information about our weapons back to the hive. The human fleet pursued the fleeing ships. Their engines were faster, their weapons more precise. Within minutes, the last Scourge harvester had been reduced to floating particles. Scan the area, Lisa said. Make sure we got them all. The bridge was quiet as sensors swept the space around them. Finally, Daniel looked up with a smile. Area clear, Commander. All Scourge vessels destroyed. No escape pods or fragments large enough to contain biological material detected. A cheer went up from the bridge crew. Some officers hugged each other. Others sat in stunned silence, amazed that they had survived. Lisa opened a channel to all ships. This is Commander Martinez. Excellent work, everyone. Begin recovery operations and prepare damage reports. Medical ships will assist the wounded. She then opened a secure channel to Earth Command. Admiral Johnson's face appeared on her screen. Report, Commander, he said tensely. First engagement successful. Admiral, Lisa replied, unable to keep the pride from her voice. Complete victory. Minimal casualties. The quantum disruptors worked exactly as designed. Johnson's serious expression broke into a smile. Well done, Commander. Proceed to Phase 2 of the operation. As the communication ended, Lisa looked at the debris field that had once been Scourge ships. Humanity had won its first battle against the galaxy's greatest terror. Begin salvage operations, she ordered. I want every piece of Scourge technology collected for study. The war has just begun. The Galactic Council's observation ships arrived at Proxima Centauri 1 week after the battle. They expected to find destroyed human vessels and victorious Scourge harvesters. Instead, they discovered a field of broken Scourge ships and a small Earth fleet picking through the remains. Impossible, whispered High Counselor Dreth as data streamed into his ship. They've done what no other species has managed in thousands of years. The Council ships approached cautiously. They sent messages requesting permission to observe the human salvage operation. Commander Martinez granted them access, even inviting Council representatives to board the Intrepid. Back on Earth, Ambassador Frank Miller stood before the Council again. This time he appeared as a holographic projection in the center of the chamber. The room was packed with representatives from every spacefaring civilization. We have struck 5 more Scourge outposts since our first engagement at Proxima Centauri, Frank reported. Each battle has been successful. Our scientists are studying the Scourge remains to improve our weapons. He showed images of the battles, Scourge ships dissolving under quantum disruptor fire, human vessels working together in perfect formation, Earth scientists in protective suits examining Scourge technology. The chamber was silent as the footage played. When it ended, the Volnari delegation approached the central podium. The Volnari hierarchy wishes to offer military support to the human campaign, said their leader, her antennae quivering with excitement. We have shipyards and manufacturing capability that could help build more of your quantum disruptors. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The mercantile Bazrani were next to step forward. The Bajrani Trade Coalition offers our fastest ships and best pilots, their representative announced. We also open our material reserves to Earth's war effort. One by one, other species came forward. The warrior Krell pledged their battle cruisers. The telepathic Mizari offered their scout ships and sensor technology. Within hours, an alliance was forming around humanity's bold plan. Dr. Alan Porter, Earth's leading expert on alien biology, addressed the council from beside Frank. The scourge adapts quickly, but it follows predictable patterns. With our combined knowledge, we can anticipate how it will evolve and stay one step ahead. As the meeting continued, Samantha Brooks received an urgent message. She showed it to Frank. "We've just received reports that the Scourge has abandoned its outpost in the Rigel system," Frank announced. For the first time in recorded history, the Scourge is retreating. The chamber erupted in cheers and alien sounds of celebration. Species that had lived in fear for generations could finally see hope. High Counselor Dreth raised his four arms for silence. For millennia, the Council's policy has been containment and retreat. Today, we change that policy. He looked at Frank's hologram. The Council formally recognizes Earth's leadership in the war against the Scourge. All member species are encouraged to join the human coalition. After the Council session ended, Frank and Dr. Porter spoke privately with the leaders of the new alliance. "We need to coordinate our efforts," Frank said. "The Scourge will adapt to our current weapons. We must develop new technologies faster than they can evolve." The Krell war chief nodded. "My scientists have already studied your quantum disruptor designs. We believe we can increase their power by 30%. The Mizari scouts can map Scourge territory in detail," added their representative. "We can identify their primary hive clusters." Dr. Porter displayed a hologram of the Scourge's biological structure. "With our combined knowledge, we can develop targeted weapons against their central consciousness." As the meeting continued, news arrived from the front lines. 3 more Scourge outposts had been abandoned. The enemy was consolidating its forces. "They're feeling threatened," Frank said. "For the first time in their existence, the Scourge is afraid." The Alliance members looked at each other with new determination. The impossible war had begun, and they were winning. General Eric Jones stood on the observation deck of Arcturus Station. Through the large glass windows, he watched ships from 7 different alien species practicing battle maneuvers together. 6 months had passed since the first battle against the Scourge, and everything had changed. "The Scourge has abandoned 3 entire sectors already," said Admiral Patricia Harris. She studied the glowing tactical displays that showed the progress of the war. Different colored lights marked Allied fleet positions and enemy territory. Eric nodded. "Just as we hoped. They're pulling back to protect their central hive clusters." The observation deck offered a complete view of the massive space station. Arcturus had become the headquarters for the anti-Scourge coalition. Aliens who had once been suspicious of each other now worked side by side with humans. A young officer approached and saluted. "Sir, the Mizari scout ships have returned from the Deneb sector. They'd brought new information about the Scourge." "Let's hear it," Eric said. The officer handed him a datapad. "The Scourge is evolving new defenses against our quantum disruptors. Their outer shells now contain elements that resist the frequency patterns we've been using." "Expected," Eric replied calmly. "Implement Phase 4 modifications to all coalition ships, and tell Dr. Porter that we need to speed up development of the biological countermeasures." As the officer left, Eric turned back to the window. A massive Krell battle cruiser moved past, escorted by smaller human ships. The Krell had once been feared warriors. Now they fought alongside Earth's forces. "The Scourge is changing its tactics," Patricia observed, still studying the tactical displays. "They used to be methodical and patient, consuming worlds one by one. Now they're launching desperate attacks against our supply lines." "They're becoming more aggressive and less calculated," Eric agreed. "They're making mistakes we can exploit." "What's causing the change?" Patricia asked. Eric was quiet for a moment. Fear, he said finally. They're experiencing fear, something they've never known before. A communication officer entered the observation deck. General, we're receiving a priority message from the Vizrini fleet in Sector 7. They've engaged a major scourge force near the Epsilon Eridani system. Eric and Patricia hurried to the command center. Officers from different species worked at various stations, coordinating the war effort across dozens of star systems. The main screen showed a fierce battle. Vizrini ships, supported by human cruisers, engaged with a swarm of scourge vessels. The new version of quantum disruptors fired blue-green beams that still dissolved the enemy ships, though more slowly than before. The scourge is trying to break through to reach their abandoned territory, Patricia said. This is the third such attack this week. Eric opened a communication channel. Vizrini command. This is General Jones. Deploy the Mizari stealth ships behind the scourge formation. Target their command nodes with the new frequency modulators. On screen, small ships appeared behind the scourge fleet. They fired weapons that didn't damage the enemy ships but disrupted the signals between them. The scourge vessels began to move erratically, their coordination broken. It's working, Patricia said. The hive connection is disrupted. Without their perfect coordination, the scourge ships became easier targets. The Vizrini and human vessels pressed their advantage, destroying the confused enemy fleet piece by piece. When the battle ended, Eric addressed the command center. Send in the science vessels to collect samples. Every battle teaches us more about the enemy. Later, Eric met with the Coalition Leadership Council. Representatives from 12 species gathered around a large table. The scourge is adapting, but so are we, he told them. Our scientists are developing new weapons faster than they can evolve defenses. The Vulnary representative raised a hand. My people have completed the new shipyards in the Alpha Centauri system. Production of coalition vessels will increase by 60%. The Krell war chief nodded. And my warriors have found a weakness in the Scourge neural network. If we can disrupt their main hive clusters, the entire collective might collapse. Eric looked around at the diverse group of aliens. 6 months ago, they had been suspicious strangers. Now they'd fought as one against the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known. The next phase begins tomorrow, Eric said. Operation Thunderbolt will target the first of the main hive clusters. 1 year after Ambassador Frank Miller's dramatic announcement, he stood again before the Galactic Council. The large chamber was filled with representatives from 32 different alien civilizations. Many had joined the fight after seeing the early victories against the Scourge. Frank wore a formal diplomatic uniform with new medals pinned to his chest. The primary Scourge consciousness has been neutralized, Frank reported, his voice solemn despite the victory. Its remaining biological components have been isolated and contained within uninhabited star systems. There, they can evolve without threatening sentient life. The council chamber erupted in celebration. Species that had been enemies for generations now embraced as friends who had fought together. The Krell warriors pounded their chests in their victory ritual. The Vizrini merchants threw glittering dust into the air. The Mizari joined minds in a telepathic sharing of joy. Samantha Brooks, now Frank's senior advisor, handed him a data tablet with the final casualty reports. The cost of victory had been high. Thousands of human lives lost and many more from allied species. But compared to the billions who would have died if the Scourge had continued its advance, it was a price they had willingly paid. High Counselor Dreth approached the human delegation. His four-limbed walk was slower now, as he had been injured in one of the final battles when he personally led an Ardani fleet. For thousands of years, the Galactic Council operated on principles of containment and compromise. Dreth said, "Humanity showed us a third option: courage." The official council session ended, but the celebration continued. As aliens and humans mingled, Dr. Olivia Grant joined Frank on the council floor. She had been a key coordinator between Earth's scientific teams and alien researchers. "The Coalition fleet admirals want to keep our combined forces together," she said, "not just as a defensive measure, but as an exploration initiative. There's talk of sending ships beyond the edge of our galaxy. Frank smiled for the first time in months. Typical humans. We finish one impossible task and immediately look for another. Olivia looked around at the diverse species talking and celebrating together. When you stormed into the council a year ago, they thought our war declaration was a sign of human recklessness. And now? Frank asked. Now they understand it was something else entirely. Hope. General Eric Jones joined them, walking with a slight limp from a battle injury. The Volneri and Krell are arguing about who gets to help Earth rebuild its fleet, he said with a laugh. And the Mizari want to establish a permanent telepathic link with our military command. The galaxy has changed, Frank said. Species that never spoke to each other are now planning joint colonies and trade routes. A young Bizrani approached their group. Ambassador Miller, my government wishes to establish a memorial on our homeworld to honor the humans who died defending our planets from the Scourge. Frank nodded respectfully. Earth would be honored. Perhaps we can create memorials on all worlds that fought together, with names from every species who sacrificed for victory. As the celebration continued, Dr. Alan Porter arrived with exciting news. We've finished analyzing the final Scourge samples, he said. Their adaptive capabilities are remarkable. With proper controls, we might use similar techniques to heal damaged ecosystems or repair worlds stripped by the Scourge. Frank looked out at the gathered representatives of the galaxy's civilizations. For centuries, they had lived in fear, losing world after world to an unstoppable enemy. Now they stood together in victory, planning a future without that shadow. Commander Lisa Martinez, who had led the first successful battle against the Scourge, raised a glass in toast. To Earth, who taught us to fight, she said. And to our allies, who taught us we didn't have to fight alone. The coalition members raised their various drinking vessels in response. The war is over, Frank said as he joined the toast. But our alliance has just begun. Together, we've saved the galaxy. Now together, we'll explore it. As the celebration continued into the night, news arrived from distant outposts. On worlds that had been abandoned to the Scourge generations ago, coalition ships were landing. The Great Reclamation had begun. The galaxy was no longer shrinking in fear. It was expanding with hope. 5 years had passed since the defeat of the Scourge. Captain Ben Harper stood on the bridge of the UES Explorer, the largest research vessel ever built by humanity. The ship floated at the very edge of the Milky Way galaxy, preparing to journey into the darkness beyond. Final systems check complete, Captain, said First Officer Natalie Wright. All departments report ready for transgalactic jump. Ben nodded and looked around at his crew. Unlike military vessels during the war, the Explorer's bridge held scientists from 8 different species. A Mizari operated the sensor station. A Volneri engineer monitored the engines. 2 Krell security officers stood near the doors. This is a historic day, Ben said. No ship from any of our civilizations has ever left our galaxy. On the main view screen, the spiral arms of the Milky Way stretched behind them like a glowing river of stars. Ahead lay the void between galaxies, millions of light years of near-empty space. The Coalition Council is requesting a final communication before we depart, Natalie said. Ben straightened his uniform. Put them through. The screen changed to show the Coalition headquarters on Earth. Ambassador Frank Miller, now much older with gray in his hair, stood with representatives from dozens of species. Captain Harper, on behalf of all civilizations in the Galactic Coalition, we wish you safe travels, Frank said. Your mission of exploration continues what we began during the war, working together to face the unknown. Thank you, Ambassador, Ben replied. The Explorer and her crew are honored to carry the Coalition flag beyond our galaxy. After the communication ended, Ben turned to his crew. Stations, everyone. Prepare for jump. The ship hummed as its advanced engines powered up. These engines use technology developed during the war, combined with scientific breakthroughs from 7 different species. Jump coordinates locked on Andromeda Galaxy, reported the Missouri navigator. Estimated travel time, 6 days. Ben sat in the captain's chair. Engage jump drive. The stars on the view screen stretched into lines, then vanished as the explorer entered hyperspace. The journey to another galaxy had begun. Back on Earth, Frank Miller walked through the Memorial Gardens in Geneva. Stone monuments honored those who had fallen in the war against the Scourge. Names from every coalition species were carved in their native languages. Frank stopped at a bench where Olivia Grant sat watching children play. The children came from different planets. Human kids with blue-skinned Mizari, 4 armed Ardani youngsters teaching games to Vulnari. A new generation growing up without fear of the Scourge. The explorer has departed, Frank said as he sat beside her. They should reach Andromeda in less than a week. Olivia smiled. When I was a child, traveling between stars seemed impossible. Now we're crossing to another galaxy. The war changed everything. Frank agreed. Not just defeating the Scourge, but bringing species together who had been isolated or enemies for centuries. Above them, in the clear blue sky, construction platforms could be seen building massive orbital stations. These would become homes for millions from overcrowded worlds, with areas designed for the needs of each species. The Krell High Command has requested permission to establish a joint military academy with Earth, Frank said. And the Bezrani want to create a unified currency for all coalition worlds. Progress, Olivia noted, though not without challenges. Frank nodded. The coalition faced many problems: cultural differences, old prejudices, disputes over resources. But compared to the terror of the Scourge, these were good problems to have. His communication device beeped. A message from General Jones, now head of Coalition Security. Excavation team on former Scourge world has discovered pre-invasion artifacts. Possible new sentient species identified. Frank showed the message to Olivia. Another mystery to solve, another civilization possibly to welcome into the coalition. The galaxy keeps getting bigger, he said. Olivia looked up at the sky where the explorer had departed. And we'll face whatever comes next together.